What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Cave. I, as always, am Dave. Now, today we're talking Happy Death Day to You. Happy Death Day to You is directed by, again, Christopher Landon and stars everybody that was in the first one. Think of somebody that was in the last one. They're in this one. And yet again, this movie is carried by Jessica Rothe's performance. And again, we're going to go over the acting before we get into the plot, because there's a lot to talk about the plot. Not a ton of it's good. So they bring back Jessica Rothe and Israel Broussard to lead this movie, mostly, Jessica Rothe. And she, again, does a stellar job. She plays the high points good. She plays the low points good. There's some extremely emotional parts in this movie. I got a little, choked up, honestly, at one particular part. Like this got heavy at points, but not in a horror kind of way. And we're going to get into that later. But Jessica Rothe crushes those parts. She is a very gifted actress, and I'm very much looking forward to what she's going to do in the future, because this girl ain't going anywhere at all. Okay, so basic story is they follow the day after, the way the Happy Death Day ends. They follow right after that, except you get a little Groundhog's moment with Ryan, and then they go in a little story with that. But then they don't do anything else with that story. And then it focuses back on Tree and Carter and how they play into the loop again. And Tree then gets caught in the loop once again. And it, from there, goes into starting to try to explain how it happened. And without spoiling anything, because it really doesn't spoil anything at all, I was kind of right. I was saying in my review of the first one that it was going to be Tree, some kind of alternate universe, was the babyface killer. And I was close, but not exactly. And you'll see what I mean when you see the movie. That doesn't really spoil anything, because they take that out the fucking window. Just tosses it. And then they start following Tree and Carter and how to fix the loop. It gets more into the science of it and the possibilities of why it could be happening, and you start getting into some other different things. And before we go any further, this movie, I mentioned in my review of the first one that movie was light horror. If that movie was light horror, this movie was featherweight horror. You could have taken the babyface aspect out of this movie and had the whole idea of a Groundhog's Day and repeating the day over and over and over again. You could have had this entire movie without having that. It seemed like they threw that in there because they wanted to link it to Happy Death Day, the first one, in as far as they wanted to keep kind of a horror aspect to it. And coming from Blumhouse, I fully expected it to be a horror movie. I felt 0 minutes of tension. And as I've mentioned before, I'm someone that free falls into these movies. I let myself get super tense. I, grasp my seat. I get, my blood moving. I get tense. I didn't. Not once in this movie. And that sucked. I was looking forward to them amping it up more. And instead of amping it up more, they pulled back. And just a fair warning, I'm going to mention my review of Happy Death Day more than a few times in this review. One, because I just watched it, and two, because this movie has so many damn parallels to that movie, while also being a complete right turn, that it bears comparison. Because there are scenes in this movie where you have, I would say, probably the exact same frame. They cut it from the first movie. The scene where Tree bashes the glass and takes the axe out. I would dare to say that is exactly the same frames from the first movie cut into this one. There are many of those moments, which is okay to a degree because it's reliving the same day, so to speak. But because of how they explain that it's happening and how that there are differences, it doesn't, you would think that they would have things be just a little bit off. Like in movies, you can tell when they try to recreate a scene from a movie before, in this movie, and it doesn't look quite right, but you're like, okay, yeah, they're just trying to show that this person did that. They should have done that in this one. It would have provided to the, okay, it's, in the first one it's here, in this one it's there. Like, they could have had it be, because everything is supposed to be a little bit off. This movie plays on the fact that the story from the first one is in this one a little bit, left to center. And like I said, they didn't need the babyface killer, and in terms of all of the kills in this movie, they felt thrown in, like it makes sense in terms of how they need to figure out what's going on. They play that same kind of idea that she needs to die so that they can figure out what's going on in the world. And so they have the same kind of montage in this one as that one, where she dies in different ways to try to, get it down. And with that, I'm going to piggyback off that idea that in the last one, they gave a great sense of urgency that she needs to stop dying. And in this one, they gave it a number. I believe it was 11 times she died in the first one. And that, she needs to stop doing this because it's taking such a toll on her. And then in this one, they mention at some point that she has been doing this movie, Happy Death Day to You, for weeks. So longer than she'd been dying in the first one, she's dying in this one. And you would think if there was that urgency in the first one, that there would be an even greater urgency in this one, which they do mention, but it keeps some consistency. And also, as I mentioned, they have another teeny bop moment where it just goes like, they crank on the, teen music, and it's just super, super light. And I was kind of bummed that they did it. I was really bummed that they did it, actually, because like I said, I wanted this to be more horror, and it's not. It's really not. But that's not to detract from the fact that the acting is well done. It's shot well. The story overall seemed like a lot of, hey, it'd be cool if we did this, and it'd be cool if we did this, and it'd be cool if we did this, it'd be cool if we did this, and it'd be cool if we did this. Let's make sure that we can do all this shit in a story and make it go along in this, Happy Death Day universe. Like, there's a kill, I'm not going to say who or how or when, but there's a kill that involves an MRI machine and a wheelchair in the same room. If you were running an MRI machine, you're not going to have anything metallic in that room that could possibly suck to it. It works, it makes for a cool scene, but it doesn't make sense at all. Now, I know I've spent most of this time bashing this movie. I went into this movie wanting to like it a lot. But I will say, and I've been wondering when this was going to happen, when it was going to be the first one, that I was like, that's this one. This movie did not need to happen. You have Scream 2, okay, for example. You have Scream 2, and it's Sydney in college, and how the events of the first one impact this one and how it impacts her life. You have Halloween 2. Michael is gone. He disappears, and he finds out, Laurie is at the hospital and he has unfinished business, and he goes after her. The sequel makes sense. This movie did not need to happen. They created this movie to kind of keep going because people liked the first one enough. And this one did not need to happen. I don't plan on ever seeing this movie again. I would still watch the first one and let the first one be in its own universe of movie and enjoy that exactly as it's supposed to be. But I don't need to see this one. So to wrap up how I feel about this movie, I would say wait for it to be rented. Wait to rent it. Wait to stream it. Wait. You don't need to see this movie this weekend. And it crushes my heart to say that because I was so excited for this movie. I was looking forward to this movie to be fun, to be a fun horror movie. And it is fun. There are times I laughed out loud. But it was too light. It was not enough of a horror movie to follow up Happy Death Day, which was light in and of itself. But this is, like I said, featherweight compared to how light the first one was. And that, for me, killed this experience. And yes, I did find this out before I went into the movie that there is a mid-credit scene. There's a mid-credit scene. I'm not glad that there was a mid-credit scene. And knowing how I feel about this, and if you go see this weekend, you'll know why I'm sighing about that mid-credit scene, because son of a bitch. So, in conclusion, I would say you don't need to see this weekend. Watch the first one again, enjoy the first one again, wait for this one to come out. You don't need to go see this movie. To me, it didn't add anything to the storyline. It was just an hour and 40 minutes of, okay, this is, watching another movie with these characters, but we didn't need it. Unfortunately, we didn't need it. Okay, that is going to do it for me today. I'm sorry I don't have better news, but if you enjoyed my review, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, because we always got more coming. We got a ranking video coming up real soon I'm pretty excited about. Thank you so much for stopping by the Dave Cave. Take care.